Alright, here we are. New character, new game. I think we should talk to Shadowheart first of all. Yeah, so a little bit of backstory to this character is that she has a very similar backstory to Astorian in that she is a vampire spawn and she has now regained her freedom and is now wanting power for herself
What are you
above
doing?
all else. And she's a terrible liar, so she's just going to say she just wanted to see if there was anything worth taking.
Well, that's honest of you. Don't do it again. I'll give you a pass this time, considering I owe you my life. And speaking of, how are we alive?
Actually, I was hoping you would know that.
I remember the ship. I remember falling. Then nothing.
Ah, well. Do you have any idea where we are?
No, I don't recognize this place. But anything's an improvement on where we just came from. First things first, we need supplies, shelter, and most of all, a healer. We might have escaped, but we still have these little monsters in our heads.
Yeah. But what do you mean about we? Because we're not staying
We
together.
need each other, and we both know what's at stake. Can't think of better company.
Nope. This is where we part ways.
You sure about that? Neither of us knows what lies ahead.
I'm sure.
Perhaps
Ta-ta.
we'll meet again. If you survive, that is.
She is snobby. Anyway, only reason I did that is because, well, if we don't, she's just gonna disappear, and I don't know, I like the little interaction. So, this character, as you can see, has quite amount of strength and constitution, charisma, some intelligence. As you can see, a lot of them are added from the race. The race of this character is actually Vampiric Drow. It is a mod that you can get, Vampiric Drow, that I have adjusted though to fit my preferences. So, for example, let me get rid of some of these things here. Boop, boop, boop. For those that recognize what those things are, for those that don't, well, you didn't see them here. Anyway, so for example, the bite is now a action rather than a bonus action. I might change that again, we are going to see about that. But as a bonus action it was just too powerful, so I have turned it into an action. That way we are not going to be as powerful anymore. Still pretty powerful, I would say, as the vampire. But with that as a bonus action, it was just a little bit too powerful. But because we're playing on honor mode and I'm really playing all by myself, at least for the time being, right? I'm not going to take on any companions that don't fit with my goals and my playstyle. And that being that we are definitely going to be role-playing this character. I'm gonna do a little bit of inventory juggling around here. Not even sure I need that, so I might just put it in there. So she's very power hungry, right? In that she wants to make a name of herself. She wants to rise to power, and she's going to do it any means necessary. If there's one thing she understands is that she cannot rely on anyone, And so she's not very likely to trust anyone. Right, so already we are level 2. And that's that. We have a lot of movement speed, which is going to come in handy in a lot of these fights because, well, if we are all by ourselves, it just makes it even more important that we get to maneuver around all the enemies. But on the flip side, we have piercing vulnerability and radiant vulnerability. However, we have necrotic resistance. Another downside I have added into the build is sunlight sensitivity, which is not originally part of this mod. Like I said, I have adjusted this mod to add these things. I was considering changing the regeneration, but I just left it as is. And, you know, I have added a little bit of intelligence and a little bit of charisma on top of the mod because it was just a bit difficult to land some of the spells that I wanted to use. What's in here? Yeah, we can just add that to wares. Okay, I think we should just finally get moving. Also, I took the time to redo the tutorial multiple times until I managed to get RNG Jesus on my side and finally get the sword. I think it was like 5 attempts or so. And you could argue that, oh yeah, you know, maybe it shouldn't have taken those attempts. But there's another mod, which is the armor mod that I have installed, which changes armor. So as you can see, the scale mail that the boss from the tutorial is wearing actually has free physical damage reduction. And free physical damage reduction makes it almost impossible to beat him. Almost. We managed to just scrape by and barely defeat him. But that's a story for another time. For now, we're just going to pick up all the loot.
What's hiding here?
You could argue that technically I don't need all the loot, but as I already explained, this character is going to be mostly solo for the longest time. And she's going to try to use everything at her disposal to stay alive. There is a passive that I have, which actually seems to not be here right now. Oh, I wonder if I accidentally deleted that. But there should be a passive that allows me to not die in combat once per long rest. But I kind of wanted to turn that off anyway because I do like permadeath. It makes me play just a lot more carefully. And I like how it makes you really have to calculate what you're going to do in the game. You know, if you don't play with permadeath and you don't play on the hardest difficulty, right, then you can ignore a lot of the aspects of the game and get away with that. But if you do play with permadeath, you don't get to ignore things that could give you an advantage. You don't get to ignore potions, elixirs, alchemy, all these things you really can't afford to. Okay, I think that's almost everything now. We're still... No, we're not dirty. We went into water, okay. So finally we can move on. Okay, we do have quite a bit of stealth. +3. So that's going to be coming in handy. On the other hand, our scale mail does give us disadvantage on stealth checks, so while we have this on, we're not going to rely on it.
Breathe deep and move.
One thing that I wish the game had was sound based stealth, because it doesn't seem like there is. Because just I can stand here forever and I can walk around and it's never going to alert my enemy, which that is a little bit concerning. Oh yeah, another thing about the bite is that I made it so that I can bite anything as long as it's alive, which, you know, it's just to counteract the fact that it is now an action and I might need to have more sources of healing myself. I tried making it impossible to use healing potions, but then I was doing a lot of research about vampires in D&D, and it actually does turn out that most people agree that healing potions still work on vampires, and that there's also no immunity to poison. So main reason I moved away there is so that this guy is not going to use a ranged attack on me. I would probably survive it, but I just like being in the habit of taking as little damage as possible, just so that when I do get into a fight where it's actually gonna matter, I'm not going to be careless. So if you don't like to see me completely min-max the shit out of this game on this vampire character, then probably this is not going to be enjoyable to watch. But for anyone that enjoys watching unedited raw gameplay with all the explanations. Oh, nice, we get a potion of speed. So a potion of speed is actually something that really works well with this character build or with this vampire build, giving me one bonus action and more armor class and all that is really important. This is one of my favorite potions to use, and we are definitely going to be using that quite often. Okay, now we're going to see the sunlight vulnerability in a moment, and some people said that it's impossible to play with it. We are going to see if it really is impossible. Honestly, it shouldn't be that bad, right? I mean, sunlight sensitivity, disadvantage on attack rolls and perception checks. It's only on perception checks, and it's only on attack rolls. So, actually, yeah, no, that should then not do anything to my lockpicking. Hello?
Bet I can crack that open.
There we go. So yeah, it doesn't even affect my lockpicking. I thought it does, but nope, it does not. Let's turn the ugly helmet off. One thing I wish is that there was a bit more variety in terms of like gear. I do hope that, you know, with some time, some modders or maybe Larian themselves are going to add a little bit more gear. Just feels like, you know, in this kind of environment, in this kind of world, you'd want to have a little bit more gear, right? Different options for helmets and this and that, and there are. I just feel like there's not enough options. Actually, we're going to revisit this later on because we don't have a lot of nature. I keep pressing the wrong thing. So we actually only have 0 nature, so I would like to not do that thing yet, and instead keep pressing on. We're about to meet a fellow vampire, but yeah, we don't know that yet.
I've got one of those brain things cornered. There, in the grass. You can kill it, can't you? Like you killed the others?
Yeah, why don't you kill it yourself?
I was hoping for a kind soul, Well, not to worry.
Alright, we're not gonna let him get away with that. Thankfully we do have a lot of strength, so... but we failed this time around. I rarely fail that check, but...
Not a word. Let's try to keep that lovely neck of yours in one piece. Hmm? Now, I saw you on the ship, didn't I? Nod?
Yeah, but we are going to use our melee attack here, but we do have disadvantage here. So, let's hope we still manage to get it. Oh wow, okay, so even with disadvantage we still got that.
You wretched little...
Your mind twists. You're looking out of unfamiliar eyes, prowling dark, busy streets. You try to hold the memory, but it fades to the worm. The light, the fear.
What was that? What's going on?
Put the knife away and I'll tell you everything.
I'm not an idiot. It has to be those tentacled monsters. Something they did. They took you too. I saw it during whatever just happened. And to think, I was ready to decorate the ground with your innards. Apologies.
Well, apology accepted, I would have probably done the same thing. Which is true, I probably would have done the same thing.
A kindred spirit. My name's Astarion. I was in Baldur's Gate when those beasts snatched me.
Okay, we are just going to nod because we do not trust the guy.
The strong and silent type. All right. Please tell me you at least know something about these worms.
Well, unfortunately they'll turn us into mind flayers.
Turn us into... Of course it'll turn me into a monster. What else did I expect? Although, it hasn't happened yet. If we can find an expert, someone that can control these things, there might still be time.
So I don't know if you've noticed, but I have noticed only just now that we can actually see the bite mark on Astarion's neck. I did not notice that before, and I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if they had added a perception check into the game for you to notice that? I mean, they have insight checks sometimes during dialogues and perception checks, making you notice specific things that characters have. So it would be kind of fun if they would allude to it here and let you notice that he has fangs and bite marks so that you can notice that he is a vampire. Anyway, I've wasted enough time here. Farewell.
Wait, that's it? You're doomed, sorry, and then off to the next adventure? These worms are doing something. I can feel it. What are you going to do about it?
I'm not sure yet. But I'll figure out my own problems, you figure yours out.
Of course. I'll make my own way. Well, maybe I'll see you again. Still wearing the same skin, I hope.
Alright, so a lot of people might be really mad at the fact that I do not take Astarion into the party, considering he is also a vampire. And we should get along swimmingly. I get it, right? I get it. He's a vampire, I'm a vampire, we should join forces and all that. But he's pretty overpowered as is. I mean, I'm pretty overpowered as is. And I just feel like it might be better if I just go by myself, right? Plus, not sure I can trust him. Yeah, I don't know. I have really considered it, but on another hand, I am really looking forward to playing as a Storian, right? That's something that I'm looking forward to, which is another reason why I'm not taking him along, right? I do not want to take any of the origin characters into my party because I want to play honor mode on all of them after I'm done with this vampire playthrough. And yes, I'm doing the vampire playthrough first because I don't know, got a thing for vampires, and when I saw this flaming sword and that it could be obtained from the tutorial area, I thought to myself, well, I'm gonna have to do something with that. And so I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do? And yeah, doing a badass vampire brawler just came easy to me as a decision. Alright, let's explore up here first. I have not finished the game yet. In fact, I have never even finished Act 1. I don't even know how far I've gotten in the game. Honestly, probably not very far. But I've just been trying to figure out the exact mod combination that I want to play with for my character. So that I can really enjoy the game with exactly the kind of build that I want to play with. I am kind of going to use this as an indicator to what counts as in shadow and whatnot. Okay, so we're still in a shadow here, and there on the edge we're not in a shadow anymore. Trying to figure out if it has anything to do with, you know... Okay, so there we are in shadow again. It is kind of iffy, and sometimes there are shadows that should be working but aren't working. But yeah, see, this over here, we are technically in shadow, even though there isn't a lot of shadow going on, and you can even see that sun is shining on our face. But apparently we are in a shadow. We are going to try to make use of shadow wherever we can. But yeah. Okay, so little bit of a situation here. We can see from a distance that our friend from the ship, let's just call her Gomorrah from now on because, well, technically she is Gomorrah, is being held captive by two tieflings. We don't know anything about these tieflings yet, but we do know her, so it seems likely that we would either decide to just leave her be, or decide that we are going to take the opportunity to attack these guys or chase them away to save her. Now, we are mostly a selfish person, so there isn't much reason for us to help her. However, these two seem very distracted, so if we can get the jump on them, right, that would seem like a worthwhile endeavor. Because we want experience, and we want their equipment and whatever else in terms of valuables that they have.
Time to press ahead.
That said, we are going to take the opportunity to attack. Now, I'm going to have to see how I'm going to do this. There is the option of just completely jumping right in there. That is one option, which is probably what I'm going to take. So we are just going to jump right in there, which is going to prompt the dialogue, unless we succeed in the stealth check, which I don't think we will. Actually it was successful. Would you look at that? Okay. For things like this, shit.
Twice as ugly.
The thing's dangerous. Leave it for the goblins to kill.
Your skull pounds in response to the prisoner's white-hot stare. Her lips don't move, yet you hear her voice.
Get rid of them. Holy hells. Under elf.
Lay tied, Nymeter.
Okay, so normally for things like this I would turn turn-based mode on, just so that if I actually do get the successful check, it doesn't just immediately happen like it just happened, right? There were 2 checks and then the third one failed, and so if I had been in turn-based mode there would have only been 1 check, and the check is actually from Gamora and not from the tieflings, right? So, well, we are definitely going to attack the tieflings, and we are going to also leave her in the cage if we can manage to do it.
Nymeter, watch out!
Alright, 7 damage already, but at least the thing failed. Oh wow, 11. Yeah, we are very vulnerable to piercing damage, which is very annoying. I have not played with that vulnerability yet. The piercing vulnerability is definitely an eyesore for me. So, how are we going to do this? I could probably hit him and then drink a potion. Yeah, we've lost a lot of health there, didn't we? Rage would help me out, but I actually don't really want to use it here. She's just gonna keep shooting at me, which is a problem. Yeah, I might need to find a different approach for this fight. I'm just realizing that with the new stuff, the things that I changed about the mod, we are almost screwed here. Let me look a little bit at the damage reduction from that ranged attack. So the damage roll was a 5, right? Plus 2 from dexterity, so that was a 7. So that was a pretty high roll, you know, on a d6. A 5 is a pretty high roll. So that was like the most of damage she can do. So 11 damage is like the most she can do, and he did a 7, right? Oh, and he did piercing damage as well. Oh wow, okay. I did not know that both of them were doing piercing damage. I accidentally moved. Okay, so there goes that. I'm going to have to completely start over here, and I'm going to meet you again when we are at this section of the game again. Until then, ta-ta.